Karen,
Yes.
every once in a while, we come across someone that's such a perfect guest that it blows your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've been incredibly fortunate to have been blessed with a lot of those types of guests so far in his journey of discovery.
We have.
Now, the biggest challenge when a perfect guest comes along is when they have so much knowledge to share that we're overwhelmed by it all and find it absolutely impossible to narrow down a single topic of discussion for the show.
Very true.
Today's guest poses just such a challenge. Now, the messages he brings with him come directly from spirit. And what we can tell you is that by the end of this episode, you're going to have been enlightened, entertained, inspired, and above all, motivated to dive even deeper into your spiritual journey. Welcome to the Skeptic Metaphysicians.
My name is Will.
And I'm Karen.
And unlike Mulder and Scully,
we both want to believe.
so we've embarked on a journey of discovery.
We've talked to people deeply entrenched in the spiritual and metaphysical world.
We've thrown ourselves into weird and wonderful experiences. I even joined a coven of witches.
And wait, you joined a coven?
Yep, all in the interest of finding something
Anything.
that will prove that there's something beyond this physical,
three-dimensional world we all live in.
This is the Skeptic Metaphysicians.
Hi, I'm Will.
And I'm Karen.
And today's main topic guest is an author, a certified advanced practitioner of EMF balancing, a holy fire 3 Karuna Reiki master.
Ooh.
He's also a certified level 5 Melchizedek method facilitator. I have to look up how to pronounce that.
That's easy for you to say.
Gesundheit, right? A light body activator and a multidimensional healer. I'm not sure what he's not, but he's everything else. He's also the founder of Spirit Alliance, an organization that's dedicated to teaching and assisting people to stand on their own light and empower themselves, get this, Karen, by helping them in their own connection with the angelic realm in higher dimensions.
Nice.
I knew that would get your attention. Now, that enables them to experience their own personal divine. It's my absolute pleasure to welcome into the show, Marty Rawson. Marty, thanks so much for coming on.
Well, and thank you very much for having me.
Oh,
It's a joy to be here.
so many questions popped to mind right off the bat. So many questions, including what the heck I just pronounced is.
Actually, how to pronounce it.
Okay.
How close did I get to it?
Not very.
Damn it. Google Translator failed me again.
But that's all right. It's Melchizedek.
Oh, I was not close at all.
Yeah. Melchizedek is truly one of the lords of light in this universe.
Well, I hope that he forgives me for butchering his name.
Oh, nothing to forgive. I'm sure he's chuckling right now. He's absolutely amazing. I also practice Ayurveda. And so
That's right.
there's one other little tidbit in there. So I have enjoyed a lot of different things and aspects of spiritual reality. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we can talk about today.
Yeah, in fact, like I mentioned earlier, the hardest thing is narrowing down the topic of this conversation because you have so much to share. The very first question that jumps to mind directly is, Marty, why are we here? Right? That's the ultimate question. Why is humanity here? And are we alone in our plight throughout this course of our lifetimes?
No, we've never been alone. Okay. It's impossible for you to be alone. You can think it if you want to, but that's just fooling yourself. Humanity was put on this planet, created on this planet, however you want to look at it, quite some time ago, and our consciousness fell to a very low state. But spirit, being the wonderful beings of light that they are, they decided, well, let's use this for soul growth. And so that's what they do. They develop this into the spiritual university of the universe, the emotional university, I should say. And that is why a lot of our problems here are emotionally related.
Mm-hmm.
So what my goal is with Spirit Alliance is to try to help people to create that real, honest connection with their angels and their guides and the beings of light that want so much to work with them. Because none of us are alone. We always have help. We always have guidance. And when we invite them into our lives and give them permission to work with us, all we have to do after that is pay really close attention to the subtle signs and things that they are giving us. And before long, you're creating magic in your life instead of misery. And so it's a beautiful thing.
Can anybody make that connection? Or can everybody make that connection? Because sometimes it seems like some people are just so gifted and so enlightened and others just aren't.
Well, I believe that, yes, anybody can. Okay. But I also believe that there are different, it's like a school. Some people are in grade school. Some people are in junior high. Some people are in high school. Some are in college, university.
And some of us are in clown college.
Yes. and we each have to know our place.
It has begun.
Yeah. And so nobody is better than or less than, anybody else, because, I mean, good Lord, our children are no less than we are. We don't even look at them that way. They're very special.
And in fact, some people think that the children are actually closer, are higher, are more evolved because they're closer to the veil and are closer to.
Oh,
truth.
Definitely. Yeah. What I'm trying to get to is that there's levels of learning, levels of growth. And some people came here specifically to experience the physical, to have their beginning lessons in learning about physical reality and life in a physical world instead of the etheric higher dimensions. And so that's what they came here to do. And they're not really ready to be enlightened yet. Okay. That's a little bit in later grades. So, it doesn't mean that they are less than. It simply means that that's where they're at in their learning process. Okay. Their growth. So, some people have been here many times. We've even had masters that have ascended that come back and try to be of assistance. And so those beings are fully wide awake and are the ones that are the true inspirations for us.
Okay.
And others, so it's literally like steps. And there's a whole wide range of humanity that covers the entire gamut. And that's the way it should be. Okay. So those that have connection with spirit need to help others understand that you can do this. If you really want to do it, all you have to do is invite them into your life and then pay very, very close attention and follow the urgings, the nudges, the thoughts that come into your head. Pay attention to your dreams, do all of this stuff, pay very close attention. And before long, you will have more and more synchronicities pop up in your life. And pretty soon you're going to be laughing and joking with them and realize that, wow, you guys have really helped me to, make my life a better place to be.
You mentioned something while you were explaining this about how some of the, spirits want to come and experience the physical. And so I'm thinking about this as you're speaking. I'm like, well, if our goal is to kind of get out of this physical realm and become one with, the universe, source, spirit, whatever you want to call it, why would it be important to experience the physical if that's not ultimately part of the beyond, for lack of better words?
To my understanding, it is that your soul growth is wherever it is at, however far you have gone before this. And in the higher realm, everything is comparatively perfect. And there is no opposition. There is no downside to really anything. And you must admit, you don't learn a whole lot when everything is perfect and warm and fuzzy. You actually learn through strife, through struggle, through enduring the hardships and all of this. That's how we actually learn life lessons. So one 70-year lifetime on Earth, especially being the emotional university of the universe, can equal 1,000,000 years worth of growth for your soul if it were to just try to stay in the higher dimensions and learn all that. So this is the master's class. This is literally where even the people that are not quite ready to be enlightened, their souls are ready to be here. They couldn't be here. And so everybody here is really advanced beings. Okay?
You heard it here, Karen. He says, I'm an advanced being.
Yeah.
I'm glad someone has.
Finally found somebody. Thank you, Marty.
You're welcome. And what I would really like people to realize is to quit thinking like a human. And I get a lot of strange looks sometimes when I say that.
Like I just did. Yep.
Yeah. But let's look at this from Spirit's point of view. We are actually beings of light. We existed before we came in. We wrote our contract for our highest soul growth, and we came into this embodiment, and we left our spiritual family at home. They're the ones watching over us. They remember everything all the time. They know us better than we know ourselves, and yet we have forgotten them. So they want nothing more. It's like a family reunion, like somebody's coming out of a coma and, they remember you, and it's beautiful. Okay. So they really want to work with us, but we have to do our part in order to create that connection. And that is trusting them that they are there and that they will help you, and paying very close attention so you can get the signs and the signals.
We're going to go into all the signs and signals in a second, but a question just throws itself into my face and I have to just spit it out. Otherwise it's going to drive me crazy. You're talking about we leave our soul family behind. Here's the question that I'm needing to ask more and more people. Everyone's saying that we are really all just one. Split 1,000 million, trillion, gazillion souls or whatever fragments. If we're all one, how are we leaving family behind? Is it not just us? We're leaving ourselves behind?
Well, yeah, you can look at it that way. It's not really that we leave them behind. It is that we forget that we are spirit.
Right.
Okay. So in our own amnesia, we leave them behind. They're right here with us.
I got you.
But we don't see them. Most of the time, we don't see them. We don't listen to them. We don't notice them. And so they are standing around just going, hey, when's he going to notice us? And it sure would be nice to help out with this situation,
Sounds like me and every party we throw, Karen. When are you going to notice me? All right. So then how do you know when they're talking to you? Now, you hear about like the angel numbers, the 111s and the 444s and all that kind of stuff. But how can you know for sure? Because there was a point in time when I was seeing those numbers everywhere. And then something happened and it went dry. So did I piss somebody off, or did I just predict, or what happened?
They really don't get mad.
Oh, well, that's good.
Ooh.
Shoot.
If they got mad, they have been stern with me when I needed it. Okay. But the love was still so thick that fear could not exist. Okay. So they are truly unconditional beings of love and light. And so, what I say is that, first off, whatever you get into, if you get into the numbers, they will work with you by numbers. If you look at dreams or you receive a lot of information through your dreams, they will work with you that way. If you are into animal totems, they will bring animal totems to you so that you can see what those messages are. Okay. Whatever it is, because they communicate with each individual in exactly the perfect way for that individual. So everybody's unique and different. And so that's what they will do. Now, one thing that I will say for everyone is pay very, very close attention to your own thoughts what you believe are your own thoughts, because they can actually speak to you. And if you're not paying attention, you will think that it's your thought. But here's the difference. It will be somebody talking to you. I have had them, when I was thinking something, I've literally had them say, and why would you think that? Okay. And it took me a second because it felt so much like my own thought. And I realized, holy smokes, they're talking to me. Yeah, you're right. Why was I thinking that? And so you have to pay very close attention to your thoughts and also the sudden urges or impulses that come upon you, whatever you're doing, it doesn't matter. But if you get a thought or a sudden impulse to do something slightly different than you were, if it's a good thing, if it's, not a bad thing, follow it, turn left on this street going home instead of the way you usually do, or whatever the minor little thing is, because you never know what they're going to show you. When I went to Egypt, they literally gave me the tour of a lifetime by separating me from the group to help me find every single thing I wanted at every temple we visited. And it was incredible. So I had read Drinvadal Melchizedek's Flower of Life, Volume 1 and 2, and he goes deep into every one of the temples, exactly what they were used for and all of that. So when I went to Egypt, I wanted to find out, was all of this true? Was everything that he said true? It was really important to me. And so when we went to those temples, I felt everybody else was walking away from me, but apparently I was walking away from them, and I was just letting spirit guide me. And at every single temple, I found exactly what he had put in those books and what was there. And you could look at it and go, wow, he was right. This is how this is laid out. This is what it was for. So, I mean, there's all sorts of different things that can help you with.
Yeah. It sounds like you have to do one or two things, either be hyper vigilant or super relaxed and open. And both sound just exhausting to me. Because if I'm constantly having to be vigilant about what I'm thinking, I don't know if I could do that.
I don't really believe you have to be hyper vigilant. Okay. Although I got to admit, when I started out, I was.
There you go. There you go.
I mean, but eventually you learn to relax and just notice. Just notice what you're thinking and what you're feeling, and follow those impulses and that sort of thing. And pay attention to your dreams. People don't really pay close enough attention to their dreams. So if you have a very vivid dream and you have emotions attached to whatever is going on in that dream, look at the symbolism of what those things mean in your dream and pay attention to the emotions that you had with it. And that will give you huge information about what they're trying to tell you. And what I mean by that is very basic, but if you are in a small boat on a rough sea, okay, water is connected with emotion. And so you might want to look at how tumultuous your emotions are at the time. What's going on emotionally. Pay attention to whatever it is.
So how did you start on this path? You have done so much, but it had to have begun with something. And how did you know it was real?
Marty, before you answer that, I'm getting an urge and a message that we're supposed to take a break. So I think I need to follow that. Right. When we come back, we're going to continue talking to Marty about this stuff. Especially, we'll have him answer Karen's great question, because that was a great question. But we also want to talk about how we can make our personal connection with these angelic beings, because I know that is something that is of incredible interest to Karen. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Skeptic Metaphysicians. We are speaking to Marty Rawson, who is an everything type of spiritual teacher. He knows everything there is to know about spirituality. We're super blessed to have him. And this is not the conversation I thought we were going to have, Marty, about these signs, these messages. But apparently, Spirit wants us to follow this path. So we'll keep going on it for now. Right before the break, Karen asked a really great question. Karen, why don't you restate your questions so that Marty can answer it for you?
How do I restate that? You have done so much along this path, and I want to know, how did you get started, and how did you know all of this was real?
Okay. It actually started with me when I was very young.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And in my book is titled, It Doesn't Have to Be This Way, a Spirit Alliance. I start out in the first several chapters talking about the experiences I had starting from when I was a child. And my first major experience with the paranormal was a period of missing time where we went to a park with a bunch of other children. I was only like maybe 6, 7 years old. And I was standing by a tree, and literally the very next thing I knew, I was at the other end of the park walking backwards, and the park was empty.
Whoa. Now, that's typically
Wow.
tied in with UFOs and ET and abductions and things like that. Is that what happened to you?
I felt at the time that was what happened. Even at my young age, I didn't know what to call them.
Mm-hmm.
But I do still to this day very much remember very clearly that I loved them and I wanted to go with them. I didn't want to be here. and I was kind of upset because they made me come back. And I also knew that they did something to help me. And I don't know in what way. To this day, I don't know exactly what they did to help me. But I knew that, and I was sad that I had to come back. And as I'm walking through, I heard a lady screaming my name. And as she came and found me, she asked me, where did I go? And I don't know. I was standing by the tree, and then I was walking through the park. I don't know. And of course, she didn't accept that at all.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did try to explain, I just got in more trouble. So I just shut up and realized, okay, this isn't something that we can talk about with other people.
Right.
And so a few years after that, I actually had the experience that took place where I got the title for my book. And so I've been having experiences where the angelic realm and the star nations pretty much my entire life. And basically I'm really glad that the world is starting to wake up, and we're starting to realize that we're not alone. And all of this, the problem that I have is, and I probably shouldn't go into this right now, but they're trying to create so much fear about it. And that bothers me.
Yeah.
Because I'll summarize it this way. All of the star nations that are visiting, except probably a few that are working with the government, I wouldn't trust those guys. Okay. But all of the rest of them are from star nations that are billions of years older than us. Okay. There's a very basic concept in the universe that humans don't seem to think about. And that is, when you live a life in love and light, and you try to co-create with the divine out of love, your life is beautiful. Your life is full of love, and you get back what you have to experience, what you create. So you get back that love. The farther away from love and light you get, the more painful your life becomes. Okay? So humans on this planet, as far as I'm concerned, are not very smart. We keep hitting our thumb with the hammer, wondering why it hurts.
Mm-hmm.
And we just don't ever seem to learn that we're the ones doing it. Well, these other star nations figured it out a long, long time ago. So they are not here to take us over or I mean, really, the fear that humans have is that they might be like us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, they grew up a long time ago. And so they are our older brothers and sisters, our older cousins, whatever you want to call them. And they are here to see have we grown up enough to become members of their family?
Yeah.
Or are we still going to go backwards and hurt ourselves to the point of no return again?
Right. There's a concept when I took Psychology 101 called projecting, right? And I feel when people talk about the fear-based type of relationship with star nations, like you call them, it almost seems like it's what they would do. So that's what they expect the others to do to them. So they come
Exactly.
from a sense of projection, which is unfortunate because they just, there's a video just went viral with UFOs over a military base. Everyone's incredibly interested in this stuff, but the first instinct for the military is to say they're a danger to us and we need to shoot them down and figure out why they're here, as opposed to, hey, let's have a chat and see what we can learn from them. And that's but what's keeping us behind, I think, unfortunately.
Yeah. And our very mentality, if they were to land, would be to send the military to go talk to them. And if you're going to send the military as your emissaries, what does that say to whoever you're meeting? It's saying that the military runs this planet. This is a military society, and that's what they can expect. I think that when the star nations, because they know us, I think that when they actually start making first contact, it's not going to be around, it's not going to be on the White House lawn. It's not going to be around the military so much. It's probably going to be in some other country where the people are rural and just peace-loving people. Okay. I think that there's going to be a host of events and they're going to have to show themselves. They are. And I wish people would understand that they are showing themselves in the skies a lot to get people to realize and get them ready for full disclosure.
We've spoken to a lot of people who actually even do CE5 events where they consciously call them to you in order to make contact. So I do think there's a movement growing that there's people out there that are trying to make contact consciously. And I do believe that these star nations are making contact with those that actually open themselves up to it.
Right.
The thing is, you always have the people going, oh, you're opening yourself up to people, these beings coming in doing experiments on you. So that's a whole other conversation.
Well, those are the people, again, that are projecting. So I might be cautious about them.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You have free will. I want to say this really quick, and this because this applies to all of spirit. The Creator itself gave you free will. You have the right to determine if you will work with just beings of light or whether you're going to fling that door open and invite everything in. I made my choice a long time ago that I am only going to work consciously and in all ways. I'm only inviting in the beings of light. Now, I don't care if they're star nations. I don't care if they're angels. I don't care if they're ascended masters. I don't care if they're Elohim, lords of light. Okay. As long as they're working in the love and light. Okay. Those are the ones that I invite into my life. And so we don't have to worry about really the dark side. What spirit wants is they're really kind of tired of us being on our knees, begging for help. Okay. That only goes so far. This is a material world that requires action in order to get results. So what they would like is for each individual to create their own connection to the divine. And when everybody does that in their own way, we're not creating a new cult or a new religion or anything like that. Everybody around the world do it your own way, create that connection with spirit. Can you imagine the synchronicity that's going to take place on this planet when people actually start following their guidance from spirit?
Mm-hmm.
The people that can line up and meet each other and the great things that they can co-create. the way, this is how we will change our world, with the guidance of spirit, working with them in our lives on a daily basis.
Mhm.
And it's the only way that I know that it can happen peacefully, which is, of course, what we want.
You just mentioned so many things that are so perfectly aligned with Karen and I and this show, because we talk a lot about the fact that growth happens at the edge of your comfort zone. We talk about only inviting light. Karen and I don't accept any dark. Our topics are all meant to help enlighten and raise the vibrations of the planet rather than bring it down. I mean, everything that you talked about, even including the last bit where there's so many paths, but one truth. And the importance is to accept that you are on your own personal path. Whatever works for you is perfect for you. It doesn't mean it's going to be perfect for the person next to you. And
Right.
that's, I think, where we are having a disconnect when everyone's yelling, no, that's the wrong way. Who says it's the wrong way? So rather than shut down, we want to promote the fact that, hey, this is a personal experience. We're all here to experience our own divinity in our own way. And that's the only way forward. Now, you take it even a step further where you say that only by doing that will we find finally a way to change this world for the better. And I ask the question all the time to people, how can one person make that drastic of a change when the environment is so hostile, when everybody's so divisive with each other? So I think I understand how, but can you go further into that?
How do we change the world when I'm just one person?
Yes.
Yes.
That you said that so much better than me.
Well, from my point of view, and this is what happened with me, I don't even live in the same world I used to. Okay. It's not in any way the way it was. When you heal your life, that is the first step, because we've all done some damage to ourselves. The first step is inviting spirit into your life, paying attention, and then heal your life and work on yourself. Work on raising your own love and light. Think about the things that you are grateful for and let that be the stepping stone to feeling love. And do this within yourself. When you do that, your family's going to notice a difference in you. And they're going to go, hey, what's going on? I noticed that there's a lot of good things going on. Okay. And you can help your family to be in a lighter environment. Most importantly, I believe that we must start helping our children and teaching our children and our grandchildren how to deal with emotions in a healthier way. Because right now we have generation after generation going into emotional crises when they're in their 30s because they were never taught how to deal with their emotions in a healthy way. And that is incredibly important on this planet. Okay. So we start with ourselves, then we start with our family, we start with our relations. Okay. Then we start reaching out into our communities and we start doing things from our own self and work outwards. And if we have more and more people that just do that alone, you will see tremendous changes coming to the consciousness of this planet, because there is the 100th monkey effect. Okay. And so I'd like to get billions doing it, but that's kind of maybe a lofty goal, but if you don't shoot for it, you'll never get there. So, so does that kind of answer your question?
It does. But then what do you say to people that say it's too late? It's too late for us to reach a tipping point to make a change before this world expires.
Well, I say they don't understand spirit very well. Okay. It's never too late as long as you're breathing air. Okay. Don't ever give up. Don't ever stop. That is rule number one. You just never quit. Okay. And there might be a lot of people that go home before this all wraps up. I mean, this is not going to happen in the blink of an eye. Okay. But we need to start actually doing the work and having conversations about how can we change our systems? How can we change our court system? How can we change our education system? How can we change our monetary system? How can we do these things? Because a truly mature spiritual civilization is one that works for the highest good of all concerned. And I don't believe that you can find a single country on this planet where their departments and their government organizations, however they are structured, where they actually work for the highest good of all the people. They actually work for the very few. And we need to grow up and start taking care of each other, because if we actually paid attention to what's in the highest good of all concerned, there would be no need for war. There would need, I mean, we have enough. We can feed everybody on this planet right now.
Mm-hmm.
We just have to actually decide that we want to do that.
Right.
And we need to start doing the things that we say we want. Because humans are really good about saying, well, I like peace. I want peace, but I think I'll go bomb that country so I can have peace. And it's like, no, that's the wrong approach.
That's because there's a reason why they're bombing that country, because there's something in that country that they want, right? So
It's not peace, it's a piece of.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. So really what you get into is the fact that it's really about greed. We have to overcome our greed in order to be able to help each other.
And-
Exactly.
And Will, also, in my interpretation or answer of your question when you're saying, what would you say to the people who say it's too late?
Uh-huh.
You know what? So first of all, like you said, it's never too late if you're still breathing. But if you're making all of these changes, at least your world is going to be better. So you know what? Maybe it's a lofty goal to think one person's going to change the entire world. Maybe it's not, but you can change your world. And that's just going to be a much better place to live.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe I'll just take it that. Yeah, we will all just skip over this world and into a more peaceful, loving world just by changing who we are. I'll go with that. Yeah.
Well, I absolutely agree with all of that, but I can't explain exactly how it's done. I don't claim to have all the answers.
Darn it, Marty. That's why we got you on the show. You said you had the answers.
There is something that you can answer, I'm hoping.
Okay.
How to open up that connection to the angelic beings.
Yeah.
Okay. First and foremost, you have to really decide that that is what you want within your heart and soul.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We can never con spirit. Okay. It's impossible. You just can't do it. So when you truly have that desire in your heart and soul, and you sincerely from your heart ask them to come into your life, I guarantee you they hear that. There's no way they cannot. They are always with you. Your higher self is always with you. It is impossible for it to not hear you. Okay. And so we are individualized awarenesses floating about in a sea of living conscious energy with trillions of other individualized awarenesses of all sizes, shapes, and forms. Okay. So the whole thing is consciousness. You cannot have a thought and not have the universe hear it. You cannot. Okay. So it is all one, but it would be pretty boring to just be one all the time. That's why the creator said, hey, I think I want to play with this. And so he created countless individualized awarenesses and said, go play, go co-create with me. But remember to co-create with love, because you must experience what you create. And that's what humans forgot.
Right.
So when we go back to that, we'll be better off.
Right. Makes perfect sense. You have to not have fear. You have to really truly want that connection and not be afraid of the connection or how that connection is going to make you look in front of others.
I've been working with them for so long that fear doesn't even enter into my thoughts with them. Okay. So, it didn't, but that's a very valid point, and I'm glad you brought it up, because that could be a very real feeling for millions, if not billions of people. All I can tell you is that, and I think this will help answer it, but, it might not sound like it at first. Okay. So when spirit, I had an act of divine intervention in my life. Okay. And this was what really kicked off, me healing my life and going in a totally different direction than what I was. Okay. And they were very unhappy with me. Okay. They were literally standing in my bedroom, at the foot of my bed and at the side of my bed. And they were not happy. Okay. They had no reason to be happy because I was literally trying to commit suicide.
Oh,
A very slow way, but I was intentionally doing it because I thought there was no hope. Okay. This was a long, long time ago. And they were very disappointed with what I was doing, and they had every right to be. But these beings were so big that I should have been terrified. But the love was so thick, fear could not exist in their presence. It was impossible for me to fear them. And then my very being started to remember them. And it became obvious, oh my God, you guys are my angels. I know you. And this is what home feels like. We don't ever get to feel this love here. Okay. And I've experienced that. So that's what I feel every time I think of them. I know that that's the place they come from. And if just telling that story can help people to understand that when we say they are beings of love and light, that is literally the environment that they live in. That is the makeup of all that is. So when you go home, literally fear cannot exist there. Fear is a human perception of lack, that you lack something, you lack control, you lack whatever. Okay. You maybe lack finances, you're out of food, whatever. Okay. But it's always based in some perception of lack. And honestly, being one with all that is, it's impossible for you to lack anything because you're part of the creator, you're part of the one.
Right.
Okay. So these other beings are part of the creator and part of the one as well. And they are here to embrace you, to cradle you in their arms, to inspire you, to make you laugh.
I don't have fear. It's not fear, it's doubt.
Doubt.
Which is very it's not afraid of anything. Is this real?
Well, can I make a minor disagreement there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Doubt is the most insidious form of fear that there is.
Touchdown.
Why? Because it is so subtle. It is so subtle that you don't recognize it as a fear. But it is. There's only really two emotions. There's love and fear, and everything else falls into one of these two categories. And doubt is the most insidious form of fear because it's a way that fear works into your trying to work with your logical brain and go, well, I'm not sure about that. Okay. And it causes your human brain, which thinks it knows everything and doesn't actually know squat. Okay. But all of our own thoughts get in there and start mixing around, and we play mental games with ourselves. And that's the human part. And it's perfectly normal. Okay. We just have to recognize that that's what's going on. But when you start having your own experiences with the divine, nobody can ever take that away from you. And that's what my goal is to help people have that. So, have you ever heard the term, the phrase, fake it till you make it?
Oh yeah. It's been my motto my entire life.
Okay. Well,
still doing it right now.
I didn't like that when I first heard it. I thought that, well, now that's ridiculous. But sometimes you have to go on faith. Okay. And faith was another thing I had a hard time with. Okay. Because what do you mean? I just got to believe something? Well, have you ever used your imagination? Okay. And I ask this for a reason, and that is because being the eternal being of light that you are, wandering around in a universe of consciousness, it is your imagination that is the very beginning of you controlling energy and you interacting with this universal consciousness. You have to start using your imagination. That is the very beginning of opening your third eye. That is the very beginning of having these visual experiences, is you have to practice using that imagination until one day your third eye opens up and you go, wow, that wasn't my imagination. That was cool. Okay. I saw that. And they talked to me. Okay. And you will have these experiences, but you have to trust and take those steps and be doggedly persistent until it happens. And I think that everybody actually has a lot of interactions with spirit. They just don't recognize them as such.
Now, we are woefully out of time, and I would be, I know, it's time has flown by, but I would be remiss if I didn't talk to you about your book. Right?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be this way. A Spirit Alliance.
Okay.
And that is on Amazon. And it is worldwide. So no matter where you're at, you can order that through Amazon.
And we've touched on it a little bit about the topic. You mentioned that you start with your early experiences. You do have a chapter on star nations and things like that. But who's the perfect person for that book? Who's going to resonate the strongest with that book?
Anybody that is on the spiritual path that wants to learn how to work with spirit and how to work with energy. Okay. I put a lot of techniques and things like that in there so that people can actually start working with energy and start working with spirit and start understanding how multidimensionality works and what are the universal laws of the universe and all of these different things, so that you can actually, by the time you're done, my goal was to help you have a vision of the unity consciousness of the universe, and also see maybe some suggestions as to what we can do to heal our society and heal ourselves and take this in the direction that we want to go. So if anybody is interested in any of that, then I believe this book will be for you.
That sounds amazing. I know I'm going to go run out and get it absolutely as soon as we finish this interview. Marty, we touched on so many different things. I feel like we need to get you back, but we touched on 5 or 6 different things. Each one of them could have been own its entire episode. So I think we have to have you come back and talk about specific.
I would be absolutely honored to do that.
All right. We're going to add links to ways for you to contact you on our show notes. We'll also add a direct link to your book on our show notes. So all you need to do is go to skepticmetaphysician.com, go to his episode page, and you will see those links directly laid in there. It'll be super easy for you to get that book and to connect with Marty. So Marty, thank you so much for your time, your expertise, for your inspiration. Thank you for waking up early and coming and chatting with us today.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And a huge thank you to you. Yes, you, the person that hit play on this episode. We know that there are tons of options out there, and having you decide to come along on our journey of discovery with us is an absolute honor for us. We hope you've enjoyed this conversation as much as we have. If you did and you feel called to give back, we invite you to visit our website at skepticmetaphysician.com, where you can donate to the show or subscribe as a member through our Buy Me a Coffee campaign. Your support will go a long way towards allowing Karen and I to bring you these wonderful conversations and teachings in more and more robust ways. Of course, if contributing to the show content is what you're looking for instead, well, we'd love for you to contribute by sending us a voicemail or an email from our website, or leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or any other podcasting platform that supports them. Karen and I love hearing from those that are moved to message us. It truly does fuel our passion. You are the reason we do this show, and knowing what you like and don't like help us craft the very best show we can so that we can help raise the vibration of the planet together. Now, if you know someone who would benefit from hearing the message we're sharing on the show, do them and us a favor and share the show with them. It will help get the word out about us, and it might just change someone's life for the better. Well, that's all for now. We will see you on the next episode of The Skeptic Metaphysician. Until then, take care.